Let's jump right into YouTube hiking the price of premium plans in several countries. That's right. Literally the day after I uploaded the video that I teased on Wen Show last week, where I was defending YouTube charging for 4K video, so putting it behind a premium paywall, YouTube turned around and increased the price of my premium family plan from 18 Canadian dollars to 23 Canadian dollars.
It's actually a
23
lot.
Canadian dollars.
It's a big jump.
That is a substantial increase. What does that work out to? Like a 30% hike or something like that?
Yeah, I thought it was like 25.
And we are not the only ones to have our prices increased. The US and the UK went from $17.99 of their currency to $22.99 and $19.99 respectively. And other regions are getting similar hikes. In Argentina, where inflation has reached 95%, the jump is particularly aggressive. Individual plans went from 78 US cents to $2.53 US. So that's like, wow, over tripling. And then family plans went from $1.17 to $4.55, again, tripling. That is brutal.
That's crazy.
Additionally, now this is something that I feel like we can really dig our teeth into. YouTube is hiking the price of family plans for users who subscribe through Apple's App Store from $22.99 to $29.99. Taking that route has always been more expensive, but YouTube is now explicitly disclosing this in their announcement email. So for the people who are not familiar with why YouTube Premium would cost more, Luke, what's the deal with that?
The App Store takes a monstrous cut. This is true on Android and iOS platforms. I'm not trying to just go after them, but these app stores take huge cuts. I think generally in the 30% range, which is a lot just for hosting some downloads in a store.
Now, my understanding is that you weren't allowed to charge essentially a 30% surcharge.
Different amount more, yeah.
To account for it, yeah. But like I thought that was actually against.
They've been shifting the rules on that. I don't know exactly where it stands right now because the last time that they shifted their rules, we matched exactly what their rule change was, and then our app got denied for following their rules. And then I had to have like an hour-long phone conversation about that, and then our app got approved because nothing matters apparently. So I don't know, but yeah, the line keeps moving because lawsuits and whatnot keep on happening.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I'm not sure, but I guess you can now, unless we're going to see a huge legal battle between them. But I'm pretty sure you can. I think you're allowed to charge a differing amount at this point.
I think that this raises some pretty interesting questions. Let's get through the price increases. So original subscribers to YouTube Red family plans who were grandfathered in at $14.99 a month are going to be subject to the new $22.99 price, but not until April 2023, with everyone else getting the new price on their next billing cycle. And I think that the conversation needs to be, why is this allowed? This is not a free or ad-supported service where, as people so helpfully pointed out when we were talking about the whole does ad block equal piracy discussion, it does not actually have any kind of explicit, contractual agreement between the platform and the user. I think that there's certainly a terms of service, and there's conversations to be had around what the implied agreement is for the use of the platform, but this is a paid agreement. How is it exactly that lawmakers have not sort of identified this as something that absolutely needs to be stopped? This single party renegotiation of the deal. Like, do you feel a little bit like Lando at this point, Lando Calrissian?
I enjoyed the reference. I don't know. It's weird because like with inflation, we've seen really intense inflation lately. they mentioned here, but in Argentina, where inflation has reached 95%, it hasn't been that bad in like Canada or the States, but it's still been really, really bad. If you have inflationary periods, if you sign an agreement with some company, okay, I'm going to pay, what was the original YouTube Red one? $14.99, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to pay
Yeah.
$14.99. Yeah, well, in 10 years, that $14.99 doesn't have the same power that it had when you originally signed that agreement. So maybe it could be a situation where like rate increases have to be within a reasonable margin or something. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, we
It's
saw
also
that
not
during
until next
the
billing cycle, so people could cancel.
we saw that in the early days of the pandemic, where they mandated that rent could not be increased, certainly not over a certain amount. I know there are places where rent increases need to be within a certain percentage, or they are considered to be illegal. But you know, I guess from my point of view, it's just it's not what I agree to. I don't see why that should be. I don't see why that should be permitted for a service. I mean, you're right. Obviously, if you don't like it, you can just not pay for it. But they're not even putting up a facade
Do you think the
of,
timing feels
trying to do
suspicious?
the right thing.
The timing feels
I
very
don't
suspicious
know.
to me. Not based on your video, to be clear.
No,
What
no,
I'm
certainly
talking
not
about
that.
is the changes coming to Chrome.
Oh,
When I first read this,
well,
I was
that's
like,
a
oh
whole.
yeah, so they're gonna like completely screw over ad blockers, and right before they do that, they're gonna do a massive rate hike to YouTube Premium. This might just be me like finding things where they don't exist, but the timing's not exactly lined up, but it's pretty close. If I remember correctly, the I don't remember the exact verbiage for the change, but what they're doing to Chrome that is going to impact ad blockers and probably some other things, but very notably ad blockers, is going to happen, I believe, in January, which at this point is a few months away. It's not that far off.
Yeah, that's pretty soon.
Yeah.
There's some really good questions about this coming in from Floatplane chat. So first of all, Cass54
Manifest
points
V3.
out
Yeah.
that they should at the very least, not be able to charge people the new rate until they click a button that says they're okay with it.
That
And they could absolutely cancel your service. But to me, like, I remember when we migrated Floatplane from the LTT forum to its own site, to floatplane.com. And I remember it being extremely complicated to change the terms of a recurring service agreement. Man, this word keeps escaping me. When you unilaterally, there we go, that's the word I'm looking for, to just unilaterally change the terms of the agreement. And we ended up having to have people manually go through and sign up again for the new site. We lost a lot of users in that.
Interestingly enough, I'll throw some context in there. That is
Yeah,
completely correct. That was very difficult. One of the main reasons why that was difficult is because we were actually changing business entities. So when it
I
was through the
see.
forum, it was under Linus Media Group. When it was through the Floatplane website, it was under Floatplane. So we were changing business entities. There's a bunch of issues there because we were transferring payment agreements from one company to another. And I think that might be possible, but it was way beyond us at the time. If it is even possible at all, I don't know. So we had to have people manually move themselves over. The other interesting tidbit is we can absolutely change people's agreements and increase or decrease prices at will. The reason why it's never
Oh,
come up is
really?
we're obviously not going to
Ooh.
do that because that's incredibly stupid.
Speak for yourself.
You'll just
No, I'm
get
kidding,
you'll
I'm
get
kidding.
wrecked as a company if you do that. At least that's been our opinion on it. So obviously we don't do that. But there is ways that you can set up where you can totally change people's the monthly value. I love the idea of needing to press a button though, because something that we know this at Floatplane, and anybody who has ever done Twitch streaming at a professional level knows this as well. When you have paid subscriptions, you will have, and this, I'm saying we know this at Floatplane. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's just something that we have knowledge of, because if we didn't, we would just be stupid.
Yeah.
But if you have paid subscriptions at all, there are going to be people that forget about them. Maybe the $5
Yep.
or the $3 or the $10 isn't a ton to them. Maybe they aren't really really on top of their credit card statements, whatever else. It's even worse when you sign up for things on yearly plans, because when people go to review their credit card statements, they don't see it
You only
coming
get
in
a
all the
1 in
time.
12 chance to catch it.
Yes. Yes. So it's totally a thing. So if you don't have, and a lot of people will also see a charge coming in and they're like, oh, that's Amazon or YouTube or Google or Walmart or whatever. Like, I recognize what this is, and this is a payment that I pay every month. Okay, that's fine. So they're not necessarily paying too much attention to what the value is, but they're like, oh yeah, I subscribe to YouTube Premium. That's the YouTube Premium payment. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Especially people that have currency conversions. So
that makes sense.
Changing the price. Sure, they send an email. When's the last time you read a marketing email from YouTube?
I mean, I did read this email because it was like, your price is going up. I tweeted about it because I felt so I don't know.
I
appreciated the irony of the timing.
You know how I learned about this? Because I filter it out. I never even, this email never hit my inbox on my personal email because it's a marketing email. I just filter it out. I don't care. I learned about this because your tweet.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That's hilarious.
Because I didn't see the email. And I'm a YouTube Premium person. So this sucks. Like, I'm not stoked.
Get ready to pay another $5 or $6 or whatever it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Black Spectre over in Floatplane chat asks, I'm still keeping my $3 plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I am also on the 4K plan, but it's always good knowing I can fall back to the $3 plan if I need to. Wait, you have 2 active subscriptions to Floatplane so that you can have the 4K tier and you can also maintain your grandfathered OG tier status in case you need it. So you're actually paying $13 a month to retain the ability to pay $3 a month if you need it in the future.
They would need 2 accounts. Are you
I
sure
think
that's
you
how
need a
that's working?
financial advisor because that is not great planning, actually. But hey, thank you for the $13 a month.
Someone in chat said, I never got an email and my payment is $10. Am I special? I don't know how your payment is $10. I'm not sure what currency you're paying in. But I haven't heard of YouTube
region.
Premium ever being $10. Yeah, so you must be in a different region. Maybe your region isn't affected by this. I don't know.
This is hilarious. I wonder how many of our Floatplane subscribers are duplicates. Now I want the team to go look into that. Like, how many of these accounts are coming from the same IP all the time and stuff?
Oh,
I mean, like have identical names and use the same credit cards or whatever.
Yeah, that would be a fair amount of digging.
Yeah, I don't.
You guys should just not pay us twice. Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, you can if you want. I'm not gonna like refuse to take it, but you should just buy more stuff on LTT Store. That's smarter because then you get like shirts and stuff. Nicholas M asks, what I want to know is if this $5 increase is going to benefit the creators that I watch. And that is one silver lining. That is one part of the argument that I made in the 4K should be paid video, that at the very least, what YouTube is doing through their really like unprecedented, the way that YouTube shares revenue is unlike any other platform. The degree of transparency and the percentage that they share are way more generous than anyone else. And so there's a reason that creators are constantly trying to figure out how to grow on YouTube. Whatever platform people come from, the really successful online creators ultimately end up on YouTube. And the reason for that is because of the way that they share revenue. And yes, the answer is yes. This would be subject to the same revenue sharing agreement that regular Premium is, that AdSense is. And it's one of the ways that Google attracts talent to the platform so effectively in a way that just nobody else has figured out how to match. And I shouldn't say has figured out how to match. I think everyone else has figured out how to match it. You have to just like actually pay money to creators. But companies like ByteDance don't want to do it, so they just don't. And I think that's one of the reasons that YouTube has stood the test of time, while other platforms like Vine and like I ultimately believe TikTok come and go and come and go and come and go while YouTube remains. And you've got a lot of people talking about, like, especially in the comments on that video, you know, angrily and justifiably angry, right? Like, I get it, but angrily talking about how this is the last straw. YouTube taking away 4K is this is going to be the last straw. I'm going for an alternative, and it's like, guys, there is no alternative, because at the end of the day, content is king. That is always going to be true. And so
Yeah.
it's tough, right?
There's some people in chat saying, oh, sorry, go for it.
No, go for it.
There's some people in chat saying that they have YouTube Premium at $7.99. Apparently, that's a student plan thing. There's other people in chat saying that they have YouTube Premium at $10, which is apparently if you had Google Play Music and like maybe something else, you got grandfathered multiple times, something. I don't know what's going to happen to all of those, but in general, it's a big rate hike. Do you know? So it is what the creators take from premium views a percentage of the premium price?
Correct, it is.
Okay,
yes. So the whole premium dollars go into a big fat bucket. And then I think I tweeted out the percentage share incorrectly, actually. I believe it's 55% to the creators, 45% to the platform. And that 45% is not all profit for the platform. That includes payment processing fees, which, as Luke knows, yeah, he's nodding, can be quite substantial.
They run their own,
and that,
which I'm sure helps.
They do run their own, which is cheaper, but they're still going to be paying to, Amex or Visa or whatever other credit card processors that they support or whatever else.
And there's cost of making and maintaining your own payment processor.
Yeah. Yes, and the cost of actually hosting the data and delivering it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty good deal for creators, which is why the creator ecosystem has just blossomed into this vibrant community that they have now. And they have so much first movers momentum on this. I just don't see realistically how anyone is going to catch them.
Yeah, I've always kind of seen YouTube that way. We had I don't know if it was last week, but we were talking about like what resolutions would you still watch YouTube at? And it was like basically whatever, because where else am I going to go for this? And it's like it gets to the point where it's like if the resolution goes so low, you just don't watch videos. Because where else are you going to go? Twitch VOD does not cover what YouTube does at all. Dailymotion does not cover what YouTube does at all. Like no one else is in that game.
Like Vimeo, get real.
Not
Vimeo, if anything, has made it even more clear in the last year that they are not interested in chasing that ad-supported free content mega site.
It's really hard.
Audience. It's super hard. Lumberwand over in YouTube chat, I know there's a first time for everything, says, so if I have premium and ad block, does that money still get properly attributed to the creators that I watch? Well, my question is, why do you have ad block if you have premium?
Yeah.
But also, yes, your premium watch time, as long as you're signed in, gets divvied up according to watch time. Your premium money gets divvied up to the creators you watch according to watch time ratios. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, people have asked a bunch of times, like, why don't you make free ad-supported tiers on Floatplane? I'm like, because it's an insane amount of work. Like, it's a massive amount of work to broker those advertising deals, or you're just jumping on something like YouTube AdSense anyways.
Yeah.
And then, like,
giving Google a cut.
Then you can't be competitive with them regardless. So, like, what is the value add here? Like, it's tough. It's a hard space to be in. Okay.
This kind of leads into one of our discussion questions, which is, why does YouTube seem so unconcerned about the potential for moves like this to push users towards ad blockers? So they're not concerned, I don't think, about users just leaving the site altogether. I think maybe they've gotten a little complacent, but also rightfully so. But as for ad blockers, I mean, Luke, you have the technical capacity to block ads on YouTube, but you subscribe to YouTube Premium, and you seem to have telegraphed earlier in the show that you intend to pay the new $22.99 price for Premium, as opposed to setting up I mean, I don't even know how to completely block YouTube ads. Like I know on mobile it's a little challenging. On
I know
TV it's
how on
very
mobile.
challenging.
Um,
Well, on mobile
TV
you
I've
could just
never
use
looked into.
mobile like Brave or whatever with an ad blocker. But on
There's
TV, I believe it's quite challenging. And you won't get your 4K anyway if that was your goal on mobile if you use an alternate browser.
well, mm, there are other ways on mobile, and you can still get your 4K. But I have premium, so I don't care, and I don't want to talk about it. But on TV, I have no idea because I've never been interested in watching YouTube on TV, to be completely honest. So I haven't looked into it myself. On mobile, it's definitely possible. On computer, it's definitely possible. I did mention earlier in I believe it's January. Manifest V3 is coming. That's gonna mess with ad blockers. Maybe we'll see if that'll push that down. In regards to ad blocking, I do think this will cause a little bit of that. I do question how many people would go from paying for it to ad blocking it because of this change. I'm sure it will be some, but will it offset the increased amount that they'll make from charging way, way more? Like this is a massive increase.
You know what? I want to play devil's advocate here. Counterpoint. I actually think the odds of someone who was paying before turning to ad blocking, assuming they, for whatever reason, couldn't keep paying their premium subscription. If this was one cappuccino too far,
right?
You know,
okay.
So they unsubscribe.
It's a lot.
I disagree. I think that they would be more likely than a typical user because they are probably an enthusiast user of the platform, one that was willing to pay, so one that probably consumes a lot, and B, have probably grown very accustomed to not seeing ads on YouTube. So I would actually imagine these people digging pretty hard for an alternative. I mean, I'm going to reiterate my privateering stance, and that's that using the platform in a way that does not compensate creators for their work is detrimental to the platform that you appear to be enjoying and may claim to like the content on. And so, make of that what you will and make your decision accordingly. But that doesn't change that people are going to be, I think, surprised, especially if they've been on premium for a while, by how many flippin' ads are on YouTube now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even know. Anytime I open it in the wrong browser, I run away immediately because I hate seeing the ads. For me, it's a big multi-tiered thing where I want to support other creators on YouTube because I watch a bunch of YouTube, and I know they get better cuts when I'm watching as a premium subscriber. So I think that's cool. I like that part of it. I like that there's no ads and I don't feel bad about it. I understand that there is actually a huge amount of cost. So just blocking all the ads on YouTube feels a little wonky when I feel quite strongly about the whole malvertising thing. I don't think I need to go over that for like the 20th time on WAN Show. But I don't necessarily think that malvertising on YouTube is actually a big problem. Maybe it is, but I've never heard of it being a problem. I mostly am interested in stopping those types of problems outside on other parts of the internet. But yeah, supporting a platform that I use a ton, that I know costs a lot to run, and being able to support other creators that I actually want to support through doing that, knowing that they make more money off of it, all of those things together makes it pretty reasonable for me.
Instead of just presenting problems, then why don't we talk solutions? I mean, I would never advise someone to circumvent the terms of service of a website. I'm sorry, excuse me. Sorry, I thought, excuse me. I would never say something like that. But if it really is a step too far, I mean, one of the things that struck me about this price increase is that even though it's like a 30% increase or 25% increase or whatever, it's still $3.33 US per member of my family. A family plan is $23 a month or whatever Canadian, and I have 5 people using it. Yeah. And I'm kind of sitting here going, you know what? It's kind of funny how common it is, right? For people to share a Netflix account. And yet I almost never see anyone talking about sharing a YouTube Premium account. And I understand it's less convenient to share a YouTube Premium account just because there's so many other Google services that you might use that you might actually want to contribute to informing your recommendations and things like that. Like, it's such a personalized service. But I mean,
we used to
if the
talk about it.
choice is, yeah, if the choice is to not, that's true. We used to talk about it because you shamelessly were piggybacking off of my family plan.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, now that
Then
I
you
think
had
about it, no,
another
you're not
child.
sharing.
How can you do
Yeah,
this to me?
I'm sorry, first child Luke. Actually, now that I think about it, no, I was being dumb before. You don't actually have to share the login anyway.
Nope.
You get up to 5 accounts on the single family plan. So I wouldn't talk about, circumventing terms of service. That would never be a thing that I would talk about. I think that it's worth, considering if maybe there could be ways that are not as detrimental to creators for people to help to offset some of the increase in cost.
Yeah, for sure. I think there are, and just like you can talk about exploits and bugs in systems without encouraging people to do them, there are definitely ways to reduce the impact of this change, for sure. Like using Firefox in January for no specific reason, or potentially expanding your family.
Yeah, I mean, really, aren't we all family in the tech community?
Yeah.